and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Oh, can't you see it? Corporate media is just foaming at the mouth. They're hungry. They're starving. See, they have a fix. They have an itch. And what that itch is that orange Cheeto. They need that orange line of Donald Trump. See, Trump, Russiagate 2.0, it's happening all over again. And the biggest addict of them all, Rachel Maddow, she's jumping on top of that like a horny kangaroo jumping out of hell. That's right. That's right, folks. Everyone is going after Trump again. Yeah, he's apparently being indicted again. He's got some more trouble heading down his way. So shout out to Aaron Mate. Speaks truth to power. If you're not following Aaron Mate, he is, again, one of the many journalists that has been authentic and doing real groundbreaking reporting. Please support his work and the work of the crew at the Gray Zone. Aaron Mate has also been doing a phenomenal job co-hosting and filling in for Jimmy Dore when Jimmy's not in the studio. So again, please follow Aaron Mate. I want to play this video, and I do apologize. I do apologize in advance. You're going to be listening to Rachel Maddow speak, but just hear me out. We need to go through this stupidity first. Trump-Russia conspiracy theorist Rachel Maddow, which is what she is, says you have to wonder if the Department of Justice would drop Trump's case in exchange for him never running for office again. That's not going to... Listen, vote blue no matter who. Liberals. I know you're jerking off in the corner dreaming that Donald Trump isn't going to run again, but you need him. He's the only person that makes your pointless lives relevant. Okay? Activists, the social justice warrior industrial complex. You guys aren't going to do those pointless protests with who? DeSantis? Or who else is running in the Republican primary? A whole bunch of other nobodies. No, you need Trump. Rachel Maddow, you need Trump. That's your bread and butter. Hell, from all the way up until 2018, from 2016 to 2018, Rachel, you were talking nuts about Russiagate. I mean, that was your big thing in the show. You had liberals eating that stuff up, eating it up and up and up. And Lawrence reminds her this is exactly what Trump accused the Department of Justice of trying to achieve. So let's play this video. Again, it's from BSDNC. And look, Rachel Maddow's got that hungry look in her eyes. Like, says, please, Trump, win the primary. Please win the general election. New cars and boats don't buy themselves.
You have to wonder if the Justice Department is considering whether there is some political solution to this criminal problem, whether part of the issue here is not just that Trump has committed crimes, but that Trump has committed crimes and plans on being back in the White House. Do they consider, as part of a potential plea offer, something that would proscribe him from running for office again? I don't know.
I would imagine if anything like that happened, that it would have to come from the defense side of the negotiation, that the Trump team would say, oh, by the way, and with this, we will also, drop out of the race for president. Otherwise, it would put the Justice Department in this position that Donald Trump claims they're in. He claims they're trying to stop him, simply trying to stop him from becoming president again. And that's the only reason they're doing this. So my guess, given those dynamics and the change, I think, in the way the Justice Department sees this in those 50 years since Spiro Agnew, it just seems unlikely that they would reach into the political zone of the solution. Our politics does have to find a solution to this, but it might have to find that solution separate and apart from the criminal process.
Yeah. So that's the thing that's happening, right? So how can we break through that mess? Well, first of all, this is the first time Rachel Maddow ever talked like this. And again, shout out to Aaron Mate. If you're not following Aaron Mate on social media, please do so. Aaron tweets this out. This isn't a new idea for Maddow. Way back in February 2019, oh, that was such an innocent year, 2019. She floated the possibility that Trump will offer to trade away his resignation as president to avoid charges over hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. Remember? Adult film actress, corn star. I said corn, YouTube. Corn. The same Stormy Daniels and now has to pay Donald Trump. I mean, Trump screwed her over literally not once, but twice. Third time for a good measure, too. Why not? So here, folks, remember this stuff? The walls are closing in, the end of the beginning of the end. When everyone in the Vote Blue No Matter Who crowd was saying, yes, this time we could stop Trump. You know how I compare the Vote Blue No Matter Who crowd to? I compare them to Wile E. Coyote trying to get the road runner, you know? They're always trying to get him. They're always trying to get Trump, and they always keep on failing.
That could set the stage for negotiations of the same kind that the Justice Department entered into with Spiro Agnew in 1973, right? Negotiations in which this office holder knows that he is up against serious felony charges, but he has this one great advantage in his plea negotiations with prosecutors, the great advantage that almost no other criminal defendant ever has, which is that this office holder, in this case it would be the president, could, like Agnew, offer to trade away his resignation, just like Agnew did, in exchange for prosecutors making some or all of those criminal charges go away. So again, I think what's about to happen might be a bigger deal than we are broadly grappling with.
Oh my goodness. So what she's doing right there is talking out of her butt, right? She's farting into the mic. And the liberal audience, they were just sniffing it up, eating it up. Guess what? Trump lost the 2020 election, okay? Now, again, if you want to say, hey, wait a minute, there weren't things right with the voting machines or the votes disappeared. Again, look, this isn't the first time. The United States does not have election. We have election integrity issues, okay? Follow Nico House. He has receipts in regards to how the United States has been running its elections, okay? So if you're not following Nico House, please do so, okay? Please do so. But again, how many times from 2016 up until 2020, people like Rachel Maddow, everyone at MSNBC, CNN, TYT, they were all saying, oh, this is it. The walls are closing in. It's Mueller time. Oh, no, another Trump indictment. Here we go. Another Trump scandal. Here we go. The man's still standing, okay? At this point, Trump has his own office in the courtrooms all across the United States. That's how many times that man has been to the courts, okay? And whether you hate him or you like him, he survived not one, but 6 bankruptcies, and he's still rich. Okay? See, Trump, he knows how to manipulate the neoliberal system. And if you take a stop, if you just stop for 1 minute, right? If you stop for 1 minute and you begin to calculate, well, wait, how is he always a step ahead of the system? It's because he was very good friends with a lot of Democratic and Republican lawmakers before he ever got into office. That's right. He was good friends with people like Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and everyone else a part of the two-party establishment system. He knows how to manipulate it because he was friends with the people who made the system. That's the truth of it. And if that triggers you, vote blue no matter who, well, too bad. He's still running for president, and you're not going to stop him because you know what? You need Trump in your life. That's true. You do, because he was the only thing that maybe gave you a chance to speak out and say, I'm going to resist against this neo-fascist. This is the first time we've had a fascist in the White House. You know, we've actually had presidents. We've had presidents order the extermination of the free nations here in this country. How do you think the West was conquered? Through a handshake and a high five? We've had U.S. presidents order our troops to exterminate people. I'm going to let you all in a little secret. During the Nuremberg trials, right? You know, when the Allied prosecutors were confronting the evil and bad guys, the Nazis, you know, the real bad guys, and they asked them, well, how'd you come up with this idea? How could you do these deplorable things? A couple of them said, well, we learned it from you Americans and how you handled the Native Americans. Nobody talks about that.
On the eve of this testimony from the president's longtime personal lawyer, with these reports that Michael Cohen is about to provide evidence in public and to Congress of the president committing criminal acts while in office, It's starting to look like we're getting into the kind of territory where the Agnew precedent becomes very relevant, where the issue of the president's potential indictability, potential prosecutability are maybe treated as separate matters. Maybe the president can't be prosecuted now under Justice Department policy, but maybe that's a separate issue from whether or not the president can be indicted. And if the president can be indicted, is the president allowed to essentially negotiate with prosecutors over his own fate?
Okay, none of that ever happened, all right? He just got elected out of office, and now he's running again for office. You know something, vote blue no matter who. You keep throwing crap at the wall, and it never sticks. And this video is, again, right here. The video I'm playing is from 2019. Rachel, you got to come up with a new act and quick.
As it balances against those potential criminal charges.
Again, madness and stupidity all around. All around. I wish that we weren't in such a stupid world. And again, I want to play one more video. One more video. I know. It's abusive. It's very abusive to be playing these ridiculous conspiracy theorists. Here. Again, shout out to Aaron Mate. Follow him on social media. The pair's track record of covering Trump also includes a time when Lawrence declared that Russian oligarchs had signed Trump's bank loans. He was forced to retract this the following day. Oh, but hey, YouTube, MSNBC has never lied. You ever going to hold them accountable? No, probably not.
This single source close to Deutsche Bank has told me that the Donald Trump's loan documents there show.
Donald Trump's long documents. That's what she said. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Donald Trump's loan documents there show.
I know he said loan, but it sounded like he said long, okay? Listen, if we're going to be sent through corporate media, I have to keep things a little bit interesting because these people are boring.
That he has co-signers. That's how he was able to obtain those loans. And that the co-signers are Russian oligarchs.
Rachel, going back sin like this. Whoa. You sure you don't have to retract that, buddy, the next day? Which is what he did. But hey, look, all of you had to sit through that. But I think you do deserve a laugh. So first, you deserve a laugh, and then also you deserve to get informed as well. Because the thing is, corporate media is not going to inform you about what is really happening, especially with Donald Trump. Now, look, do I care about Donald Trump? No, I don't. Do I care about the fact that corporate media keeps on wasting everyone's time by saying, oh, this is it. We're going to get Trump. He's going to go to jail. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, period. Here, but we deserve a laugh. Shout out to the great Max Blumenthal.
Bent on overthrowing the U.S. government. And members of Congress who were sympathetic.
Rachel, this speech is boring and paranoid. Can you explain why you promoted the Steele? Why did you promote the Steele dossier, which has been proven to be a lie? Why did you promote the lie of Russian bounties?
Come on, let's go.
Can you ever be held accountable for the lies you told Americans for years and years and years?
Shame on you. Hold on, I gotta play that again.
Why did you promote the Steele dossier, which has been proven to be a lie? Why did you promote the lie of Russian bounties?
Come on, let's go.
You want
Can you
that,
ever
bro?
be held accountable for the lies you told Americans for years and years and years? You lied to Americans for years.
Let's go.
Silence is violence, Rachel.
You're out. You're out.
Let's go.
There you go. You want my badge?
Thank you.
There you go. I'm walking
In
out
fact,
with
we can
you.
go this way.
Which one?
Elevator right here.
Rachel Maddow refusing to answer questions about lying about the Steele dossier, lying about Russian bounties, and doing a paranoid speech claiming Nazism is afoot in America.
Rachel Maddow more than happy, though, to kick out an actual reporter. I mean, she had to zoom in and look at him very closely, like, is this what a journalist looks like? Yeah. So here, I want to play this video from System Update hosted by the outstanding Glenn Greenwald. All right. Again, the Espionage Act of 1970, in which Donald Trump is currently being indicted, is a draconian law, as it is, that has been cynically weaponized against whistleblowers and journalists for years, with cases skyrocketing under a certain guy named Barack Obama. From Woodrow Wilson to Julian Assange, it's essential to understand how this law was transformed from a repressive wartime measure to the attack on freedom it is today. So I'm just going to play just a few minutes of this. If you're not following Glenn Greenwald's work, please do so. Glenn Greenwald, Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate are award-winning journalists and have a clear, authentic record. Support their work. They're speaking truth to power.
By Woodrow Wilson, designed to do nothing other than criminalize Americans' dissent to the idea that the U.S. should enter World War I and fight in it as combatants. And indeed, many people were prosecuted under the Espionage Act for doing nothing other than opposing President Wilson's war policies in that European war. Efforts to overturn that law on the grounds that it is blatantly unconstitutional have produced some of the most notorious and shameful rulings in Supreme Court history. And yet the court has protected this law, and it is one of the most extreme and repressive laws in the US code. And it has basically was allowed to remain dormant for all of the 20th century. The one time that it was actually invoked in a high profile case was when the Nixon administration used it to prosecute Daniel Ellsberg for the crime of leaking the Pentagon Papers, a volume of top secret documents that revealed that the US government was systematically lying to the American people about the Vietnam War. In other words, the US government spent years insisting publicly that it was just a few months away from winning the war and vanquishing the North Vietnamese. All it needed was some more money, some more conscripts, some more authority, some more bombs, some more weapons. And yet privately, as the Pentagon Papers revealed, the U.S. government and its top officials inside the Pentagon and war-making agencies in the U.S. security state had acknowledged from the start of the war that victory would be impossible, that the greatest and best case scenario was a stalemate. And Ellsberg was somebody who started at the Rand Corporation, had been an advocate of the Vietnam War, helped plan the Vietnam War from his position in the Rand Corporation. He had access to the most sensitive secrets that the U.S. government possessed. And along the way, in the mid-60s, he realized that the U.S. government was prosecuting this war based on a lie, and that it was ending the lives of thousands of Americans who did not volunteer to go to Vietnam, but instead were drafted, and was also ending the lives of hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese civilians. And as an act of conscience, he came forward and said, I can no longer stand by while I have the evidence in my hand that the U.S. government is lying to the American people and continue to conceal it, even though it's likely that I will go to prison for life if I reveal it. He first tried to get senators to read the Pentagon Papers into the record, because senators under the Constitution have full immunity from prosecution for anything they do or say on the Senate floor, and not a single senator was courageous enough to do it. And so it left it to Ellsberg. He finally went to the New York Times, provided these documents. The New York Times reported on it. And then the Nixon administration dug up this archaic statute from the Wilson era and tried to use it to say that Ellsberg.
By the way, I just want to add it on here. The story that Glenn Greenwald is saying, especially when he talked about our senators not being courageous. Listen, vote blue no matter who, and diehard Republican red Republican voters. Your U.S. politicians have never been courageous. You see, they're weak because they know how to lie. You see, they've convinced all of us that they're fighters. They convinced all of us that they are people who care. But look at these politicians now, especially those that have been in power for decades now. They're old. They're weak. They're frail. They're greedy. They're not human. They're doing insider trading. And even the new batch of politicians, same as the old batch, same grape to make the same mediocre wine. These are who our politicians are. And these are the people that supposedly fight for the American people, these so-called wonderful, courageous politicians in the Democratic and Republican Party. You see, they're spending most of their time calling their donors, begging for more money, and doing insider trading. These politicians, do you want to know what they would do if push comes to shove? If the United States was in an end-all, be-all fight, they'd negotiate a way to save themselves, to sacrifice all of us. And if you still do believe that some Democratic or Republican lawmaker in the House or Senate or whoever sits in the White House will fight for you, tell me, what's it like to believe in the Loch Ness Monster hanging out and playing poker with Santa Claus, Bigfoot, and the Tooth Fairy? What's it like to live in that innocent mind of yours? It's very nice that you think the politicians have a backbone.
Ellsberg was guilty of espionage, even though Ellsberg's harshest critics acknowledge that he was not acting on behalf of a foreign government. They tried for a while to claim he was a Kremlin agent, but nobody believed that. He went to journalists and leaked this information in order to inform the American people that what the truth was. The Nixon administration ultimately was unsuccessful in its efforts to prosecute him because they had gotten caught engaged in all sorts of serious misconduct. This is in 1971, including ordering a break-in to the psychiatrist's office of Daniel Ellsberg in order to find incriminating psychosexual secrets that would discredit him. And that misconduct resulted in the dismissal of his lawsuit, of the criminal case against him. Had that not happened, he almost certainly would have spent the rest of his life in prison. Ellsberg's now 93. He is diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer and has weeks, if not less, to live. But that was one of the things that he did in history, was reminded the U.S. government about the existence of this very repressive law. And the reason it became such a valuable tool in the hands of the U.S. government, because Ellsberg, his plan all along was he wanted to come forward and identify himself as the leaker of the Pentagon Papers. He didn't want to hide behind anonymity. He decided he owed it to the American people to come forward and identify himself and explain why he leaked these documents, even though they were marked top secret. And his plan was to go to trial and convince a jury of his peers that even though the law prohibited him from doing what he had done, his actions were morally justified. He was obligated to do it ethically, because the evil of forcing him to remain silent while watching the government lie to the population about something so significant outweighed the imperatives of the law. But what ended up happening was he went on the stand and he began to explain to the jury, yes, I did this, but I was justified in doing so, and here's why. And the judge immediately shut him down and ruled that the Espionage Act, unlike most laws, is a strict liability statute, meaning it doesn't matter what motive you had when you violated it. If you are authorized to receive classified information and then you publish classified information or disclose it to someone who's unauthorized to receive it, you are automatically guilty of felonies under the Espionage Act of 1917, and there is no defense available to you. And when the judge ruled that, it showed the U.S. government, the CIA, the FBI, the Homeland Security didn't exist then. That was created in 2002. The NSA, the rest of the U.S. security state agencies, look at this incredibly powerful weapon you have in your hand. It means that you can take any document that exists, including ones revealing and proving that you've committed grave crimes or that you've lied to the American people. And all you have to do is mark that document classified or secret or top secret, and it becomes a felony with years, if not decades, in prison as the punishment for anyone to take that document and reveal it to the world, even if you've abused your powers by marking it secret with the intention of concealing your own crimes and your own deceit. That was the effect of that ruling and what the Espionage Act of 1917 meant. Now, the Espionage Act was not used after that by any president through the Ford administration, the Reagan administration.
I want to pause right here. Again, I don't want to interrupt Glenn Greenwald too much, because, again, I urge all of you to follow his work on social media. But this is what, again, our government is doing, especially towards whistleblowers. And under Obama's administration, so many people were prosecuted. So the people who are calling out injustice and crimes, they were the ones who were punished. not the criminals, not the corrupt individuals, not the people abusing their power. You see how the system's being played? You think Rachel Maddow is ever going to talk like this? Hey, folks, let's have democracy in the chat. I know, controversial statement. Type 1 if you think, yes, Rachel Maddow's going to be talking about how ridiculous the Espionage Act is and how corrupt our system is. She'll be talking about it on her show this year, I promise you, kid. She'll be authentic like she always is. Type 2 like, no. No. She will never talk like this. She will never address the problems with the Espionage Act. She needs to talk about Russiagate and Trump.
Administration fighting the Cold War, fighting the wars in Central America, nor was it used during the Clinton years or even by George Bush and Dick Cheney under the War on Terror. That statute was picked up and was aggressively weaponized under the Obama administration to punish and criminalize anybody who leaked information, even whistleblowers who were exposing government crimes. In fact, the Obama administration, the Obama Justice Department under Eric Holder, prosecuted more whistleblowers under the Espionage Act of 1917 than all previous presidents combined. So we went from Woodrow Wilson to George W. Bush, and there were a grand total of 2 prosecutions under the Espionage Act, one of which was Daniel Ellsberg. We get to the Obama administration, and remember, Barack Obama ran on promises of restoring transparency to government, of uprooting the excesses of secrecy abuses and civil liberties abuses carried out by George Bush and Dick Cheney under the War on Terror, and instead he did the opposite. In so many instances, he strengthened and expanded those abuses of George Bush and Dick Cheney, including by re-weaponizing the Espionage Act and using it to prosecute more whistleblowers than all previous presidents combined. That was the statute under which Edward Snowden was prosecuted and still is being charged. And I remember so well when Edward Snowden sought asylum in Russia after the Obama administration purposely trapped him there when he was transiting through on his way to Latin America to get asylum. John Kerry and other Obama officials, Hillary Clinton, would constantly go to the media and say, oh, if Edward Snowden really believes in what he's saying, that he was justified in doing what he did, he should, quote, man up. That was the words of John Kerry. And go back to the United States and argue to a jury of his peers that he was in fact justified to do what he did.
So I want to stop it here. Because look, folks, I need to explain this to all of you. All of this concern about Donald Trump and him being indicted, that's a distraction. It truly is. The real thing we need to focus on is how people who are speaking truth to power, actual journalists, whistleblowers, are being silenced. Corporate media is going to distract you about Trump. Corporate media is going to be covering Trump 24/7 because they need that orange Cheeto line. Going right back to what I said before. Corporate media is going to lie to you. They will never be held accountable for their actions. The only way corporate media is going to go under is if one day they all meet the same fate as CNN. CNN is already a sinking ship. It's on a decline. It's not going to end tomorrow or the next day, but they're hemorrhaging viewers. Now, again, I know how a lot of you feel about electoral politics. Some of you don't want to vote at all. I get it. But you want to know what you could do to maybe get the Rachel Maddows and corporate media hack fraud talent at CNN, ABC, CBS, Fox News to really crap their pants? Spread the word and help inform people to not to pay attention to cable news, to break away from it, to start thinking for themselves. Break away from the neoliberal establishment media. It's lying to you. It always has been, and it's always going to keep on distracting you.